Hello, my name is Richard Muir, and I wanted to share with you my coming out story. I basically known I was gay my entire life. When I was 5 is when I first really had a word to put with the feelings that I had. But I didn't technically come out until I was 17 and a senior in high school. I was in my last semester. And for me, coming out at that time was much less of a telling people specifically than it was I just kind of stopped admitting it. Shocker of shocks, I was one of the people in high school that everyone just kind of assumed was gay, and they were right. Not that that necessarily made it any easier of a process. The people that I hadn't told was my family. That was the reason I waited so long, actually. My half-sister Danielle is only a year older than I am, and she couldn't keep a secret if life depended on it. So I kind of had to wait till she was out of high school before I could start being who I was. When I was 19, almost 2 years later, I was singing with the San Diego Men's Chorus, which is a group of gay singing men. They no longer exist. They merged with the Gay Men's Chorus of San Diego. At the time, they were doing a show of Broadway songs, and I thought, this is perfect. They're doing a show about men singing love songs to other men. This is perfect. This is how I can come out to my family. So I invited my mom and my sister. And the day of the event, I'm sitting in my tuxedo backstage, and I peek out because I know exactly where their seats are. And they had added 2 seats. They invited my stepfather, well, my mother's husband at the time. He married her long after I was an adult. And a friend of the family, whom neither one I specifically invited because I wasn't exactly sure what their reactions would be. Well, we get halfway through the concert, and we're backstage during intermission, and my friends in the concert wanted to know why I was so amped, and I said, well, my family's out there. And they said, I thought you weren't out to your family yet. And I said, oh, I'm not. I thought this is going to be the perfect way of coming out to them. To which the universal reaction of people around me was, I can't believe you did that to your family. Yeah, it didn't go over terribly well. So I went back out on stage for the second half of the show, and they were gone. I'm kind of amazed, frankly, I made it through the concert. I was really upset. And I wasn't quite sure what to do, so I thought, well, I'll let my mom make the first contact. So she called me the next morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, because she's a psycho, that's just what she does, and said, I think we need to talk about this. And I said, half asleep, fine, let me call you back when I'm a human being. And I hung up on her because it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I just was not planning on being awake that early. We talked later that day, and of course she pulled the typical mom crap of, this is what I wanted for you out of your life, to which my response was, yeah, me neither. I kind of wanted to be a doctor, cure cancer, help people, and make a ton of money. But, I said, this is a part of who I am. I said, I didn't choose this. It's just, it just happens to be this way. I said, and you can either accept that, or you can't. And I said, that's really entirely upon you, because, to quote La Cage aux Folles, I am what I am. Theater queen, sorry, can't help it. Anyway, so I will give my mother the commendation that she deserves and say that she did try. It was basically, my sexuality was the elephant in the room. It's nice to have something in the room that was larger than I am for once. It just didn't ever get talked about forever, and still doesn't, unfortunately. We basically only talked about, work or school, depending on what was particularly going on with me at the time, or both, which is often what was going on for college. And over about 10 years of this crap, I just said, enough is enough, this is a part of who I am, and denial isn't acceptance. I said, I don't want to talk to you about my sexual practices or anything, but the fact that it can't even come up in casual conversation, that's not accepting who I am. I said, that's not okay. This needs to change, and when you want it to change because you actually are interested in my life in total, then let me know. And I haven't heard from her since. But, this wasn't meant to be a depressing coming out video, because I have my gay family whom I wouldn't trade for the world, and if I never came out, I wouldn't have them. They're wonderful people who just totally made my life. And, I want to say, coming out is a process. It's not an event. there are people it will feel more important to you to come out to than others, but you will always have to, because we live in a heterosexist society where everyone assumes you're straight. So anybody you ever meet in the future that isn't at a gay bar or something will pretty much assume you're straight until you tell them. And oftentimes you'll come out in ways that you don't expect. I, for instance, don't put up with homophobia or bigotry at all. So I will often be the person in the middle of a bookstore or something who says something like, "Excuse me, as the gay person around here." That comment completely offends me. Like, for instance, when people say things like, "That's so gay," my response to that usually is, would you say something like, "That's so black"? Because usually their response is, "Oh, gosh, I guess it sounds kind of stupid when you put it like that." It does. Coming out is one of the most important things you can do, because it feels like the weight of the world is lifted off your shoulders. Your tiny, tiny shoulders, depending on how things work in that respect. But it does. Being able to be yourself is the most wonderful feeling on earth. So all I can say is, only you really know when it's right. But don't wait forever, because most of the time you're making a bigger deal out of it than most other people will. And the people who love you, who truly love you, will love you no matter what. And the ones who don't, well, it's kind of a easy way of cutting the wheat from the chaff in that particular respect. Your friends and family are at that point. So, remember, it gets better, and it starts to get better as soon as you come out. Thank you.